quality of his diplomatic engagements. We look into how Solomon went into mineral swap as a development paradigm, and we know that that's one thing that we, Liberia and many other African countries, have embraced, development diplomacy. And we look into that too. We saw how Solomon dealt with it. We saw how Solomon provided leadership. We saw how Solomon had vision. We saw how Solomon made sure there were boundaries. We saw how Solomon had some clear investigation and making sure there was some clear analysis around that. And then we sum it up with the fact that Solomon had a balance to the way he provided leadership for his nation. So that was part 2. Today we're going to look at part 3. In the midst of all that is happening in our country, I know many people are concerned about the role of church leaders and how church leaders can contribute to this process. Part of our role, and we see on this program, is for many years is to provide teachings, provide education, being the conscience of society and giving the nation some perspective on how we can navigate as a nation. So we continue to play that role, and our prayer is that as we continue to pray, we'll pray, but we'll teach, we'll do some engagements, making sure that we all can contribute to the forward march of our nation. The church in our country remains a very significant partner to the forward march of our nation. And I can assure you that as we look into the current situation of our nation, church leaders are engaged. We are engaged, I can say for a fact, with the process. We are engaged with national leaders in making sure that this case, this situation in our country that is of serious concern to all of us, can be dealt with, not just being dealt with because we want a solution, but be dealt with in the right way, be dealt with responsibly, be dealt with some level of respect around it, making sure that there can be a more responsible management of a national crisis of this matter. The church is not a political entity. Pastors, we pastors, not politicians, but we are called by God to give some directions, to give some clarity, to give wisdom and counsel to the nation and to our national leaders as we move forward. So let all of us rest assured that all of us, not just on the church, but I believe all of us as Liberians, we are concerned about the current situation, and we believe in God that at the end of the day, Liberia will come through this. The people who are responsible will be held accountable. The very source and stability of our country will be maintained. So let us rest assured that. All right. So part 3 of our discussion today is assessing national stewardship. And so even as we talked about the missing billions in our country, as we look into the embarrassment this issue across our country, and I want you this morning to listen to me. Those who listen, I want you to put away all your political sentiments a little bit. Just for the few time I'll be on this radio, open your heart, allow me to speak some wisdom into your argument. I know a lot of us got different arguments. I hope that you can listen to me this morning and listen to me with a patriotic heart. Listen to me and listen to me and put in Liberia first. Listen to me as we navigate our national situation. So assessing national stewardship, and this is very important because stewardship is very critical. And as we talk about assessing national stewardship, let me define what stewardship means for us this morning. As stewardship is the word that I want to deal with this morning. Stewardship is an ethic that embodies the responsible planning. Listen to me. Stewardship is an ethic that embodies the responsible planning and management of resources. Responsible planning and management of resources. The concepts of stewardship can be applied to the environment and nature, economics, health, the economy, health, property, information, theology, the media, and the list goes on. So when we talked about stewardship in the book of Luke, let's look at a scripture this morning, Luke chapter 16. Luke chapter 16. Jesus is talking about making some reference to stewardship. Jesus told his disciples, Luke chapter 16 verse 1. Jesus told his disciples, there was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. So he called him and asked him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management, because you cannot be manager any longer. So Jesus giving a parable about God's concern about stewardship. Let me go down and see verse 10. And after Jesus didn't interact, look at verse 10. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much, and whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. Now Jesus is giving and this Luke chapter 16 talked about how God is concerned about stewardship and how people manage the things that are being trusted into their hands. So as we talk about assessing national stewardship, let me use this current national situation in our country with the missing billions to give us some perspective on what God expects of national leaders when it comes to the stewardship of the nation. What God expects. You know, how can we get some lessons from these kind of incidents in our nation? How can we build our capacity as a country? How can national leaders move beyond some of these lapses that embarrasses the country and cause all of us to bow our heads in shame? Because this kind of thing that is trending in our nation is not just only for one person; it's the whole country. It's all of us. I mean, I was talking to somebody in a foreign country who was attending a major international conference, and the person was saying to me last night, Pastor, I mean, the one of the facilitator was facilitating, and he stopped a little bit and just got into the Liberian situation and started to make mockery. I mean, started to mockery, and this person said, Pastor, as a Liberian, I mean, I was so embarrassed. I was ashamed. After we went for a break, my friends were asking me, what happened in your country and blah blah blah, all the things that are trending on social media. So what I'm saying is that it's not just only one person, it's all of us. And so when you have a national emergency of this nature, it becomes important that all of us look beyond just ourselves. All of us look into the general good of the country. All of us look into how we can get out of the situation. Not how we can create more problems. All of us need to find a solution together as a nation. I mean, that's what it means to be a patriotic and nationalistic citizen. And our nationalism, I know everybody will be at different end of the line. But at the end of the day, let all of us purpose in our heart that we can that these kind of matters can be handled so that our country image can be redeemed. So let's look at stewardship. First of all, when let's look at transition. You know, before the elections or during elections time, many of you are aware I was teaching on transition and talking about some of the components of transitions. And one of the critical things I mentioned in those presentations was the ability that when transition is going on, it is very important. And this is a lesson I think we need to learn as a nation. It is very important for no stone to be left unturned as governments transition. I think moving forward, we need to see even to the point that we can even have a clear national transitional framework for our nation. That when one government is going, another government is coming. What are the mechanisms that will be an acceptable pattern for our nation? Because you see, today, so many things we are dealing with now is as a result of our inability we're talking about stewardship. We're talking about assessing national stewardship. And I'm starting with transition first. Because you see, the Bible said when the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? So what is the foundation of where we are today? The foundation started with transition. The foundation started with transition. And so when the old government was going, new government coming in, seeing where we are today, seeing some of the incoherent and inconsistency that is taking place at all levels, we got to ask ourselves, lesson number one in the issue of stewardship, when transitions are going on, when a nation is going through transition, especially from one government to another government, there has to be a meticulous, a clear articulation of the transition process across the board. For instance, starting with the executive, from president to president, at the level of the cabinet, from minister to minister, from directors to directors, we call it turnover notes. All those things should be meticulously handled. Because you see, moving forward, government is continuity. And if transition is not handled properly, there is a tendency of the country of finding herself into some major problem. So the first thing we want to look at, as we talked about assessing national stewardship, we want to look at the management of transition as a major component for moving forward, for stability, for accountability, for transparency, and for confidence in the next administration that will take over. Accountability, transparency, and confidence. Because you see, when the confidence of the people is broken in the government, in any government, that is a recipe for conflict. So that's the first thing. So we'll move on transition. The next thing, as we talked about, as we look into assessing national stewardship, the next thing, the first branch of government, the national legislature, has the responsibility, we all know, for oversight, for lawmaking, and for representation. That is a simple responsibility of our people at the building there. They are the people's deputy. As we follow through and following all the information that is going through, after our legislature gave the central bank the authorization initially to go and print the first amount of money, and later on other monies were printed, and now we're hearing that authorization scheme. But be away from all the authorizations and issues. The national legislature have the responsibility for oversight, stewardship. We get a definition of stewardship after the central bank was given the responsibility. Did our lawmakers follow up on the central bank and the responsibility that was given to them? Granted, we're around election time, so everybody was concerned about getting re-elected and all of that. After the election, the 53rd passed. Okay, 54th came in. The Sarah new committee, I heard on the radio station that one of our lawmakers was saying he tried to talk to one of the governors, and the person did not give him any due courtesy on certain information. When we had the economic crisis lately, and we had all our rate going up, the government came in, the president in fact announced the 25 million stimulus, all those things that happen when we start having those economic challenges, that was a clear writing on the wall. What role did our national legislature play? I mean, I understand that they are convening an emergency session. Good they convene an emergency session, but I think this situation also started with the legislature. The legislature is the first branch of government. She should provide oversight. When the central bank did not do what they had to do, or they had some other issues, and we had subsequent economic issues as a nation, how will our lawmakers provide oversight on these matters? So stewardship at the level of the legislature as relates to issue of this magnitude is very important. So at this point, the responsibility, the national legislature herself is also held responsible for what is taking place in our country. So we're looking at stewardship. The legislature is being given the responsibility by the people. They were elected by the people to provide stewardship of the country, especially around lawmaking and oversight, those kind of things. They are the first branch of government. Did they do that work well? If they had done that work well, in fact, of the economy, owing to the fact that we have had some serious economic issues later in our country, coming from the elections and all that have taken place, the president announced to the country that the economy was in a bad shape, and our currency was in free fall, and the description of the economy was bad. Moving forward, what did our lawmakers do to make sure? Maybe I'm not aware, but I'm talking about stewardship. So the first issue of stewardship is transition. And we saw that stewardship talked about resources and all of that, information, property, all these kind of things go with stewardship. How well as our legislature provides stewardship of the nation as relates to the functions of government functionaries. Not even for the missing billions. I'm talking about from the elections up to now. When the president addressed the nation up to now, what has been the serious interventions of our lawmakers regarding the economy and regarding these issues? When the investigation started, we hear the investigation started some time ago. And if the investigation started some time ago, what has been because the legislature have committees that are responsible to report to plenary because they represent us. What has been their findings? Have they followed up on these issues? What has been the accountability mechanism they have set in place to make sure that the people who are responsible to provide service, like we said in our last presentation on God's expectation for national leaders. One of the issues there that we talked about, leadership is a privilege, it's not a right. So these people that have been privileged to serve, what have they done? So let's look at the legislature at stewardship level. The central bank, they gave the central bank some responsibility. They gave the central bank some clear boundaries on how much to print and all those matters. The central bank, according to what is trending all around, and listening to the central bank form of government, listen to all the conversation coming around, you want to understand that there is so much disconnect, in the management. We talk about stewardship in the management of our national resources, or let's say not natural resources. You talked about our economy. So that's on the side of the legislature. Have they done their work? Have they really provide sufficient and effective oversight of the central bank? I know the central bank Act gave the central bank some leverage to function, and I understand the leverage. But in the midst of the central bank leverage, the legislature have an oversight role. The legislature play a major role in providing oversight for the country in simple English. So stewardship. Have our lawmakers provided effective stewardship of the economy? Let's think about it as a country. Even as they come back for the emergency session. That's the legislature. Then let's go to the executive. We'll come to the central bank. I'm coming down with stewardship, and I will deal with all of us and give us some perspective as a nation. Then look at the executive. When it comes to stewardship, the president of the country was elected by the people to provide leadership, to provide stewardship, we say, of the entire Republic of Liberia. when he took the oath and put his hands on the Bible and raised his hands, he was saying that I have committed myself to provide leadership, not just on leadership, but stewardship of the nation, both domestic and internationally. As we move forward, the investigation that was trending, the inconsistent and incoherent dissemination of information coming out of the executive does not all go well as it relates to the stewardship of information. We know stewardship is a critical information dissemination is a part of stewardship. Within the executive, you got the security people, the people who are charged with responsibility to be able to investigate things and be able to inform the leader on these kind of matters. How well have they provided their own stewardship over the period of time? Since this thing been trending for a long time. How well have they provided stewardship at the level of our security apparatus? And these are important stewardship issues. They are stewards of the safety of the country. They were appointed. They went for confirmation hearing. All these things are important components of national responsibility, my people. A responsible nation is not just a nation that got a constitution and got a flag and got a national anthem. A responsible nation is the demonstration of maturity, respect, honesty, integrity, character of the people that have been entrusted with national duty. That is a responsible country. And today, the entire nation, all of us, not one person, all of us have been brought to ridicule. Not one person, the whole country. The whole country. So stewardship at the level of the executive. Stewardship at the level of our security people. How have they steward this process? How have they provide the type of mechanism to make sure that the informations at the level of our information dissemination arm, our economic management team, I mean, all these people are stewards. And when you start having incoherent and inconsistent dissemination of information, it put a question on the stewardship of our national leaders. And we need to correct that. So we looked at transition, we looked at the role of the legislature, and now we talk about the executive. They looked at stewardship at the level of the Central Bank of Liberia. The Central Bank of Liberia has the responsibility to, they are our treasurer, they're keeping our money. They are keeping our money because they think, in simple English, they are keeping our money. All the documentation shows that the money was clear and blah, blah, blah. At this point, I'm of the opinion that until we can have a credible investigation, until we can do a clear investigation that can tell us how much we got in our vote, how much was printed. For me, I hear all the figures, but I'm still waiting for the investigation because the information dissemination is so incoherent, it's so inconsistent that I as a rational person, I'm waiting for the investigation because the investigation will be able to give a clear definition of what took place in how much were printed, what is here, and what we have and what we don't have, and what was printed, all those kind of issues, where money was printed, who printed it, all those information will come out on the investigation. So for me, listen, let me go to investigation. But even as we wait for the investigation, the central bank, they're keeping our money. Even as we talk about investigation issue, where are we? They should be able to give a clear account of the stewardship. Give a clear account of the stewardship. A clear account of stewardship. We have the 25 million stimulus that was being made by the government. You see, as I talked about stewardship, I'm not just talking about the billions that were missing. I am concerned about the overall stewardship of the central bank They owe us stewardship of our legislature. They owe us stewardship of our executive. I'm concerned because it's not just about the billions. It speaks to stewardship. And stewardship is accountability. We saw in Luke chapter 16. So at this point, it is very important at the stewardship. CBL, the board of governors at the CBL. Let me speak to you this morning. You know, we talked about love for country, we talk about nationalism and patriotism. It's not just in words and speeches. That comes from a conviction that you love your country. And not, you know, to all of us, in the executive, the legislature, all of us. When we say we love this country, it goes back to the way we even manage the things that belong to the country. The way we manage our responsibility to our nation. It tells us whether we are patriotic or not, or we are nationalistic or we love our country. The governors, the board of governors at the CBL, the past governor, the present governor, the entire leadership of the CBL, we entrusted you people. Up to now, can you imagine? We got to launch investigation as a nation. We got to ask FBI. We got to ask IMF. We got to ask World Bank. We got to bring people on board. We got to have high-level investigation because our money lost in our country. It's a shame. It's a shame to a whole nation. It means that at 171 years old, we don't have the capacity to provide adequate stewardship and accountability of the things that God has blessed us as a nation. That is a serious indictment on us as a people and on us and on our national leadership. It's an indictment that we got to be calling FBI and other people to come ask, oh, and you're the money loss. When CBL, this thing it's a simple matter. You be able to tell us, say, listen, this is how much came, this is the money, this is what we have, and be able to, but now this is not something that we should be talking as a country. We should be talking about developing our nation, talking about roads and school and healthcare and information technology and expanding the capacity of our young people and providing jobs opportunity and dealing with our healthcare system and going to agriculture and talking about feeding our people and expanding the integrity of our nation and representing Liberia on the international scene and making Liberia case and building more alliances and getting more partners to come and help our country. That should be our conversation as a responsible country. By the point we're talking about money loss, other people say no. I see the other people say no, I get it. Those kind of issues. CBL, you disappointed us. You know, and moving forward, it is a serious concern. CBL, you disappointed us. You disappointed us. The entire leadership there. Lawmaker said he called one governor and the governor did not pay him any courtesy. Can you imagine that? CBL, your stewardship, you keeping our money. What happened to it? And up to now, people are in press conferences and trying to justify. People should be in tears and confessing and saying to, if you love this, forget about investigation. That's why I mean, in as much it's true, the investigation is good. But listen, if you love this country, and you are part of this syndicate, where you are right now, you should be weeping for your sins. You should be weeping. Because do you know what it means? Even if this is just a speculation, even if it just is, just the fact that our country can be dragged this low. Stewardship, I love the CBL. So we talked about the transition. Turn over all those kind of issues. Today, we in a serious issue. When we are laying foundation, when the foundation be destroyed, the Bible says, what can the righteous do? Laying foundation. Transition. audit. These are important issues when you are transitioning. Accountability, making sure that everybody gave a clear description of what they did, what they're leaving for you to take over from. So these are issues. So I'm not just concerned about the money. I'm looking at a bigger picture of the general stewardship of the economy, especially in this case. Very important. Stewardship at the level of us who are citizens. Let me talk about us. We as citizens of our country, we are under obligation. All of us. Civil society, the media, all of us. Religious community, all of us. Students, youth, all of us. We are under responsibility as Liberians to uphold the peace, the security of our nation, to uphold the peace and security of our nation. I understand that we as Liberians, we are all disappointed. We are all feeling bad in simple Liberian English. But at the end of the day, in the midst of all that we vex about, let that also allow our vexation to lead us to create more problems for our country. Let's not allow us to do that. At this point, the water finish wasting. So what we need to do now is to mobilize ourselves and make sure that the investigation, as is being called for by the president and the government, can go on. Our lawmakers are coming back. As they come back too, we hope that as they come back, they can right the wrong. The CBO themselves, at this point, let's move the conversation forward. Let's move the conversation forward. At the executive, let there be a clear, coherent, consistent information dissemination of the process, so that the citizens and all of us can know that our government, our president is in charge. At the level of legislature, let there be a more robust oversight of people and their function as we move forward as a nation. At the level of the CBO, let the CBO check themselves and put themselves together and make sure that they can account for the money. And I was talking to us as citizens. Let all of us respect. We vex, but let's be careful. I heard Mr. Brown, Mr. Philip Brown, who has been talking about this, who talked about this case on radio, and he was saying his life has been threatened, but he also said that the government provided 20 armed policemen to go to his house and to protect him, which I think is a good move. But our brother come and say also that, you know what, I'm calling all the ex-generals and all the former AFL soldiers to come, the generals and the people to come to my house because I've been threatened. I think that is wrong. I'm calling our brother right now to this medium not to go that route, because the government, from his own words, have provided security for him. The government have taken charge and the responsibility for Mr. Brown's safety and his security and his family. So I don't think Mr. Brown should go that way. That's not the right way to go. He has done his part as a journalist. He has said what he have uncovered. Let the investigation justify the information that he has released to the public. But at the same time, I too am concerned about his well-being. But the government and himself, I said, the government has ensured his security. So I'm calling on him not to have that meeting. You don't want to add injury to insult. I'm calling, and I also see that some of our brothers are calling for a demonstration. At this point, we're talking about stewardship of us as citizens. So I've dealt with executive, I've dealt with legislature, I've dealt with CBO. Now I'm talking about us as citizens in all the different sectors of our nation. I hear some of our brothers talking about demonstration. Demonstration is not the right way to go right now as a nation. It will not benefit any one of us. As a nation, let us wait. Let us encourage the investigation as soon as possible. let us continue to remind our national leaders of our expectation of them as relates to the investigation. Let us do that. Let us not be calling for a demonstration. That is not the right way to go as a nation. And I know people will want to justify it, but I'm speaking to you. That's why I say listen to me differently this morning. Let us, at this point, how do we move forward as a nation before I take course? How do we move forward as a nation? Number one, the investigation should start immediately. Number two, let the executive synchronize a consistent and coherent information dissemination to the country. Number three, let the legislature, as they assemble, let them take charge of their responsibility and make sure that the CBL and all the information relating to the instructions I will give them and what Mr. The former bank governor has said concerning him being authorized, let the entire board commissioner or board governor of Central Bank be summoned at the legislature. Let them show reason at this point why they should not be held in contempt, because that is contentious. That's the way forward. For us in the media and in the civil society and to our citizens, political parties, all of us, let us exercise restraint. Let us see what will happen moving forward. Let us give our national leaders the benefit of the doubt. Let us give the investigative committee and the benefit of the doubt to be able to do the investigation and come with findings to the country. Let us give our president the space. We all have made our point clear as a nation. Let us give him the space to provide the leadership that is required to see Liberia through this challenge. And then as we talk, and we talk to the committee that has been set up, let the committee put Liberia first. People are concerned about the religious community being part of the investigation. The church and the religious community remains an integral part of the transformation of our country. And the church, the Muslim community, all our religious brothers and sisters, the religious community is a critical component. All the people here, they are either church member or they come into our mosques. So the church remains a moral conscience of society, and the church might have competent people who can go and represent the church as relates to forensic investigation, all those kind of things. Not just only that, the moral rectitude and the moral presence of the church leaders and religious leaders will put some pressure, and they can come from that that investigation, and they can speak to the nation and say, listen, we oversaw that entire process. It was transparent. It was okay. Do not disrespect the religious leaders because you have a different view about the fact that it's forensic and investigator. I understand that. But you see, when you are talking about bringing credibility and peace and stability and stabilizing your country, you want everybody to be on board. And the religious community, don't forget that the religious community has played a major role in bringing Liberia to where we are today. And so in that much is true, they're concerned about expertise as relates to pastors and bishops. It is possible that the religious community can get competent people that are represented. Not just only that, the religious community also can be part of the committee to be able to observe the process, to be able to make sure that the process is consistent with the law, and consistent with that. The religious community can also play a consultative role in the process. You see, we need to understand that the building of a nation requires us to be sober. So let all of us put ourselves together, and let's see how we can solve this situation as a nation. I will take your call right now. 0777700-995 is the number. This is Paradigm Shift. This morning I'm talking about assessing national stewardship. This is part 3 of our conversation. 080939395. Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend.
Yes, sir. Your name, where you calling from? Quickly, sir.
Good morning to these lovely people of Liberia. This is Charles MacArthur Slocum.
Okay, man.
17th Street.
Go ahead, sir.
And thank you. You've been talking to us as a leader, been speaking to us as a fighter. But it feels like many of us not understanding the responsibility of a citizen to be responsible. Let me be very frank in this matter. And I always like to put it this way. Sorry, I didn't care about all that. I'm for the CDC. I'm a citizen. But to be frank, I'm disappointed in the matter. And my disappointment is that how these things happen. Very, we have a leader. You know, everything in this country has been politicized. Yeah. You have a leader who said, okay, I put in these people. The Relation Council is very good. The Muslim Council is very good. Even the young people who were heading us is also good. Even the Bar Association is very good. Who knows? You, Karpeh, could be in a committee for an investigation. We trust you. This is a national quest, right?
Yes.
And all of the people need to be included. Why would a group of people come and say, you don't need the people? And we don't trust our mother and father? We trust them.
Okay.
I'm saying, let we give the government time, let the government do investigation and forget about and demonstration. Nobody going to pay debt on anybody here. Let we be a very peaceful and loving and responsible citizen to know our responsibility.
Okay, thank you. God bless you, my brother. Thank you. Assessing national stewardship. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, quickly, I need where you calling from, sir.
I'm calling from the Honest Speech resident.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the popular discussion this morning. It is important for the stability of our country. But from my own understanding of this matter, as it relates to various stakeholders speaking on the subject, I think we, the citizens, need to exercise a little bit of patience as the government go about the process of investigation.
Okay.
Because the both parties, like the central bank and our legislature, they do all justice.
I agree with you.
Especially the legislature.
Yes.
They do not assume that whatever responsibility that is required of them to perform. You get the men and authorization to print things and the men print that word. And you cannot force them to call the men to order. So that is after you have printed the money, you're supposed to perform your overtime responsibility to make sure that this
okay. All right. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
To conclude, hello?
Yeah. Yeah, go ahead quickly.
To conclude, the central bank is responsible to distribute, to bring and distribute money to the economy through commercial banks. As the process going on, as they been able to pass the money forward to the
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you. We got a lot of callers on the line. Thank you, sir. I mean, your point is well taken. We are all concerned and we need to exercise restraint. Good morning.
Good morning, Reverend.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Quickly.
Yeah, Reverend, let me just thank you for especially the topic on discussion, stewardship. Well, Reverend, let me just give you some basics. Hello?
Yes, sir. Quickly, sir.
Yeah, over the years, just what you have said, there are not being a foundation, there are not being a map that people will use when the other government taking over. That map will use while other people can tell the reference that when you take over, this is what we want to see. But in Liberia, let me be clear, sincerity and honesty is lacking in the country. No love. And the government, let me just appreciate you because you are a powerful enlightenment.
Yeah.
But we need to organize or reorganize ourselves and make sure that we keep this society correct, because this is not about our listening to people calling and saying, oh, that money. They are not really following that. You are not just discussing the Easter money missing.
Very true.
You are discussing of us to change our behavior as a responsible people, as government, as leaders.
Yeah.
What should we do to ban it? And I think you need to keep it up.
Okay, thank you, sir.
If you do that, Reverend, we will have a way out of our country.
Okay, God bless you. Yes, good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Okay, so this morning, we're talking about.
Hello?
Good morning. Quickly, sir. Anywhere you calling from?
Yeah, good morning, Ravi. How are you, sir?
Yes, sir. I'm discussing assessing national stewardship.
Yes, of course. I listen to you, and
Yes,
I want to commend you for your show.
Yes, sir.
However, for me, I just want to make a little short input.
All right, sir.
For me, my point is the issue here now that is at stake is not about how much they are printed. Because why we are concerned, even if they print 100 billion in a country, where it is the money now? That's the concern.
I agree with you.
Creating what distraction, saying someone was printed did that day. We know that one will happen, but now where is the money? That should be the concern of Liberia right now, and what we want. How much was printed? I want concern, but not how much was printed, but where is the money? That is the concern of pushing the distraction.
Thank you.
Whatsoever.
Thank you.
Distract people from a real issue.
Thank you.
That's why we're saying where is the money, and we want the money, and where it is, it should be provided.
Thank you very much. And as we talk about that, just also remember that when you are dealing with this kind of situation, you are not just dealing with the symptoms, you're dealing with the roots, and that's what I'm talking about, stewardship. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. You got to talk louder, please. Good morning.
Hello, Remy. I say thank you so much for the topic on the discussion.
Yeah, quickly, stewardship.
I follow you so much, but I want to ask one question. Is this a criminal investigation or not?
Well, I don't know the nature of investigation, so I can't speak to that.
Money getting missing.
Yeah.
This was some young boys who were working in a club or Western entertainment area in the state. They got missing. They were going to headquarters them and put them behind jail. But because they involve kind of big people, we are not. The justice should really work for everybody.
I agree with you.
I agree. You are really doing well.
Yes.
To change our mind. But this is what happening. Justice is not for the poor.
No, okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I think those who listening this morning need to understand that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir. Where are you calling from? Quickly.
James calling from Ghana.
All right, James, quickly.
You know, I want to appreciate you this morning for whatever things you have said. You see, we got to understand when a government is going through an investigation, it will take time for whatsoever or whosoever that is accused to become to the spotlight. You get me going through an investigation, at the same time you'll be having street demonstration. You see, we are still not bring people who said that we don't have trust and confidence in our NSA, in our police people here. So if we allow our NSAs and our police people to carry on the investigation, anything that they come up, if people not be found, will be the same people to say, oh, they
okay.
Things, this, that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I want all of us to know that I am for investigation. I think it's important. But you see, I'm talking about a responsible citizenship. I'm talking about stewardship. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, Remy.
Yes, sir. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Ghana. I'm Patrick Nash.
Okay, Patrick, quickly, sir.
Thank you so very much for the program, Remy. But you see,
Patrick, I'll tell you, I think we miss our brother Patrick. So I understand we all are annoyed, we all are disappointed, but for us to find a solution, we need to allow a process to go on. We need to see what our national leaders will do, to see what the investigation will bring. Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, sir.
I'm Leon calling from Point 4.
Okay, bro, Leon, quickly, sir.
Yes, sir. I would like to commend you for what you have told us this morning. But one thing I would like you to advise our leader in the opposition. They are not speaking like they are from Liberia. They are speaking like they are from the other side. That is not good. It is not helpful to our country. They speak like that. Their words are more insightful than encouraging Liberians to wait for the investigation.
Okay, thank you very much. We got James Sumo watching from North Dakota. May the Almighty God bless President. We are let the entire country. So you see, a lot of people themselves need to understand. Many Liberians are too. I understand the sentiments, but we got to understand that we're dealing with a country, my people. We're dealing with a country. We're not just dealing with few persons. We're dealing with a country. Let all of us see what our lawmakers are coming back. I think they understand where they have erred. the executive have understood to where they have erred. The CBL, I believe that everybody understand the embarrassment thing has brought to the country. So let's see what comes out of the investigation. Good morning.
Good morning, Pastor.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for the topic this morning.
Yeah.
I'm following you. And thank you very much for that follow encouragement.
Yeah.
But Reverend, I have a little thing to say. I think if you follow the Bible, there's part of the portion of the Bible where Jesus left the temple, and then when he returned, he met the people selling the temple.
Yeah, Luke chapter 19.
Yeah, very good. I think Jesus took a radical approach.
He took a way to beat them.
By baking it, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is the manner in which Liberia is presented now to us.
Okay.
I think we have been calm. The citizens of Liberia, we have been calm. We have
Okay.
been peaceful for many times. The youth have been peaceful. You
Yeah.
know how many times we have been looking at things, observing things, letting go. But I think these days, we're not saying that we're going to destroy things. But Monday, there's nothing will actually stop us to have a peaceful assembly. We are not going to disturb. We're not going to do anything because all we need peace. We need stability. And thank you for that.
Okay. Okay, my brother. I mean, as a pastor, at least I have spoken to the nation on how I think we can proceed. I hope you're listening. Good morning. Good morning. I think I'll be our last caller. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Yeah, hello.
You are our last caller. Quickly, sir.
Yeah, I'm trying to call them. I'm doing that. I'm trying to call.
Okay, Prince.
Yes, I appreciate your wish this morning. But what I'm very happy is that we get that people can stop. The two guys think that they will want to belong to them and the guys are still money. Okay. The people with the issue of establishing one sample, they that they realize that it's now good to become big and lower level in the
Amen. Listen to me, my son. Listen to me. Right now, what we're talking, you see, all of us Liberians, we all need to be careful, even with the way we're talking about this thing, so that we cannot feel, and that's our last caller, so that we cannot feel conflict in our nation. Let us stop throwing all kinds of negative words, all kinds of pronouncements into our country. It is not good for us. I'm saying it to us. In as much it's true that there have been errors, the money got missing, people have taken Liberian people for granted. I understand all of that. At this point, let's give our leaders the opportunity to provide leadership on this matter. And if they don't provide leadership, then we can raise some issues. But we cannot be going and trying to tear down our nation because we are annoyed. Too wrong can make a right. Too right can make a wrong, or too wrong can make a right. We can't try to do that. I'm encouraging us. I believe that the situation is embarrassing. I believe that stewardship, the principles of stewardship has been breached at all levels. I believe that the citizens have the right to query the national leaders on the kind of matters. But I also believe that a citizen that is concerned about issues in the nation will also need to exercise certain level of restraint. Because you know what? There are some people out there who is seeking an opportunity to create a problem for you and myself. You might be having a good intention, but not everybody got good intention. So you don't want nobody to use your good intention to undermine the peace, the stability of our country. I'm encouraging us. I'm saying this to us. We are encouraging our leaders to make sure that the investigation is speedy. We are encouraging the CBL to cooperate with the investigation because they won't keep our money. We encourage the executive, the president, members of the executive, the executive branch of government to make sure that the execution, the implementation of the law as it relates to people being held accountable must not be compromised. We are calling on all our people in the opposition community. We are calling everybody. It's important that we continue to give our concerns and continue to give our express our dissatisfaction. But at some point, let us wait and see what the investigation will bring to the table. That would be my advice to us as we talk about stewardship. And moving forward, let's learn a lesson from this. I hope moving forward, our entire leadership paradigm, beginning with the president, going to the legislature, and all these other government functionaries, our security apparatus, all the people who are responsible to provide stewardship in different categories of our nation, that they can think twice. They can consider their nation. They can be patriotic, nationalistic. They can look beyond themselves and see that God has given them a privilege to be leaders. It's not a right. And they shouldn't abuse the privilege that God has given to them. Because you see, they also, when he bless you and you abuse the blessing, when he take it from you, you will not show when he will give it back to you again. This has been Paradigm Shift. I've been your host, Foday E, Karpeh. This morning, we've been talking part 3 of our conversation on God's expectation for national leaders. And today we've been talking about accessing national stewardship. And we're looking at stewardship in the wake of the missing billions. We have been looking at stewardship and encouraging our leaders, encouraging us as citizens to see beyond just the missing money, to see into deeper issues of responsibility, of accountability, of law for country, of patriotism, of the whole rule of law, and making sure that we all can together protect the peace and stability of our country. God bless you, and I'll see you next Friday. Bye-bye.